That's pretty much, well, not confirmed by the UFC, but confirmed by Islam Makhachev. Islam Makhachev came out and said, no, that fight's not happening. He's got lots of work to do in the welterweight division. Outside of that, I mean, Michael Chandler's ranked number 13. There's Renato Moicano at 10. There's Dan Hooker at number 8. He wouldn't be a bad stylistic matchup for Conor McGregor, but I think it's going to be like an old school throwback and something big and something that's going to blow people away. Dustin Poirier would do that. I think Jorge Masvidal would do that. And certainly a third fight with Nate Diaz, that would definitely blow the roof off.
He's gonna move a wee bit.
You're under arrest. You're under arrest. Stop resisting.
Conor McGregor is the perfect example. Why do you think he's such a big star? You think he's such a big star because he's funny? Yeah, that's part of it. You think he's such a big star because he speaks so well? Absolutely part of it. And you just keep going down the line of all these things that makes him a star. But number one, first and foremost, the reason he is a global superstar and people love this guy is because he's a real fighter. This guy, I'm the guy that makes the phone calls and hears people going, yeah, I'm not going to take that fight, or I'm not going to do this, or I'm not going to do that. Never has Conor McGregor said, Lorenzo and I were standing in his living room. Kid just woke up, got out of bed, he's in his underwear, okay? Doesn't even have time to process what's really going on. Looks us dead in the eye and says, I'm going to take a shower and get dressed and work out. Let me know after I'm done working out who I'm fighting. Doesn't care.
Right.
And that, people feel that, and people notice that, and people...
So here's the deal. All these whispers about Conor McGregor planning his comeback have turned into something way bigger than anyone expected. The intel coming through suggests the Notorious One is grinding through an absolutely brutal training camp, laser focused on what could be his biggest return ever, potentially landing on that massive White House fight card. What's really catching attention this time around is how different everything feels. Gone are the flashy antics, the media circus, all those theatrical moments we got used to seeing. Instead, we're witnessing a former two-division champion stripped back to basics, hunting for that deadly spark that once made him completely dominant inside the cage. When he finally walks out on a stage this significant, this groundbreaking, it's not going to be about nostalgia or cashing checks. This is going to be his chance to show everyone exactly why he owned this game.
Last one, White House is what everybody's talking about. Big card on June 14th. There's going to be 100,000 people across the street.
I'm going to be in there.
Who's more likely to fight on that card, John Jones or Conor McGregor?
I'll say Conor McGregor. Listen,
Why?
man, if you're gonna have the biggest fight card of all time, you got to have the biggest star the UFC has ever seen.
Now here's where things get interesting with our Irish superstar. Asa Khan caught something that sent ripples through the entire MMA community. That explosive tweet McGregor dropped and then quickly deleted had Michael Bisping breaking it down immediately. McGregor was claiming he'd gotten a fight offer, accepted his opponent's conditions, and was just waiting for paperwork to show up in his email before the whole thing vanished into thin air. Bisping's take on the situation was that it felt genuine, not just random chatter, but maybe someone jumping the gun on massive news that wasn't ready for the world yet. If Bisping's reading this correctly, if this really was an accidental leak, then we could be looking at this massive comeback happening way earlier than anyone dared to hope.
Conor McGregor, according to his recently deleted tweet, he's back, he's coming, he's on.
I'm coming!
What did he say? He said, I have been offered an opponent and I accept. He said, I've been offered an opponent and I accept, waiting on my contract. Now that tweet recently got deleted as well. One would assume, right, reading between the lines, could be wrong, that he's telling the truth, that he got the offer, they've agreed an opponent, and he was very excited, so he tweeted about something, then he was like, oh shit, I'm not supposed to say anything yet, or whatever, so he deleted it, okay? And obviously, it's a nice little PR move, it generates some interest for Conor McGregor, and the interest for Conor McGregor, he doesn't need to generate interest, let's be honest, okay?
Let's keep this rolling. Michael Bisping broke down something everyone needs to hear. Whether you're Team McGregor or you can't stand the guy, nobody can argue that he's still the absolute biggest moneymaker this sport has ever seen. Bisping brought up the legendary rivalry between McGregor and Nate Diaz to prove his point. 1 victory each, 2 absolutely brutal battles that delivered monster numbers both times, showing just how much star power these guys carry. That first encounter shocked the world when Diaz locked in that submission nobody saw coming, creating one of MMA's most unforgettable moments. The rematch was pure violence back and forth, with McGregor making the right adjustments to edge out a tough decision, but not before Diaz pushed him to his absolute limits. If Nate Diaz is really hungry to settle some unfinished business, something he talks about constantly, and genuinely wants to take over this current fighting landscape, then round 3 between these warriors would instantly become the biggest fight the UFC could possibly put together.
But Nate Diaz, that is correct. Stockton's own, king of the face slap, whatever you want to call him.
I don't give a either.
Nate Diaz, he was never far away from a bit of controversy, okay? He was talking recently, and he said that he's coming back. He's got unfinished business. He's going to take over, that this generation of fighters, they're all crap, and he's going to come in, take over. He's got unfinished work to do.
McGregor 3, I want to fight maybe Dustin Poirier if he's something to pussy, and then maybe Makhachev. Let's see what happens in the future, though.
And someone said, what about the White House? He's like, oh yeah, that'd be dope too.
Yeah, the White House would be perfect.
You're the man.
Now, we've talked about this many times. Of course, Diaz and McGregor, they are one apiece. Nate Diaz shocked the world. He wasn't
Surprise, mother.
when he choked out Conor McGregor, and of course they fought again. Conor came back. It was another great performance. He dropped him with leg kicks. He dropped him with every left hand that he threw. But it was a war, and Diaz made him work, and Diaz even had Conor running away at one point because he was getting a little bit tired. But the fact of the matter is that those were 2 of the most watched fights in UFC history, much like all of Conor McGregor's fights, okay? He is by far and large the biggest.
Bisping kept pushing forward, saying if this White House event actually happens, he's completely confident Conor McGregor will be right in the center of it all. He even threw out Jorge Masvidal as a possible opponent, admitting he'd personally prefer watching that fireworks show over another bout with Michael Chandler, which keeps getting mentioned everywhere. But Bisping didn't rule out that third Diaz war either, reminding everyone that Diaz still brings serious star power and commands that almost religious following in the MMA world, just like his equally legendary older brother. And speaking of Nick Diaz, the elder sibling has been dropping hints about his own massive comeback, saying he feels recharged, motivated, and mentally stronger despite how brutal his last performance against Robbie Lawler appeared to casual observers. According to Bisping, if both Diaz brothers are healthy, genuinely fired up, and ready to reclaim the spotlight, that creates an incredible collection of blockbuster possibilities for what could be a truly record-smashing fight card.
But the White House is going down, and Conor McGregor, I think, will be fighting on it, and Jorge Masvidal would be a good matchup, okay? I'd rather watch that than Michael Chandler, respectfully, but Nate Diaz 3? Now, Nate Diaz is still a draw, right? People love Nate Diaz. He has got cult-like status in the mixed martial arts world, just like his brother. And his brother Nick, by the way, he said recently that he's going to come back as well. He said, maybe I was getting it confused, maybe he said this new generation of fighters. He's only 42 years old. He's cleaned up his act. He's been to rehab and stuff like that. Of course, last time we saw him, it wasn't a good look. He was a little bit overweight. I think it was Robbie Lawler that.
Now let's talk about what Daniel Cormier recently added to this White House conversation that's got everyone talking. The question everyone's asking is simple but huge. Between heavyweight champion Jon Jones and returning megastar Conor McGregor, who's more likely to actually show up and fight on this historic card? Cormier didn't hesitate for even a second before picking McGregor. His reasoning was absolutely bulletproof and impossible to dispute. If the UFC seriously wants to create the biggest event in company history, especially one designed to pack an absolutely massive crowd on that symbolic June 14th date, then you don't build around just any big name. You build around the single biggest star the organization has ever produced. In Daniel Cormier's expert opinion, there's zero question that star has always been Conor McGregor. For millions of fans desperately waiting for this announcement, it means all this excitement isn't just empty noise. It's practically a guarantee of something absolutely unforgettable.
Last one, White House is what everybody's talking about. Big card on June 14th. There's going to be 100,000 people across the street.
I'm going to be in there.
Who's more likely to fight on that card, Jon Jones or Conor McGregor?
I'll say Conor McGregor. Listen,
Why?
man, if you're gonna have the biggest fight card of all time, you gotta have the biggest star the UFC has ever seen.
Moving forward, the MMA Guru is absolutely electric thinking about what this White House card could deliver. His imagination is running wild, picturing fights that could catch fire with intensity before the first punch gets thrown. What really gets him excited are matchups like Ilia Topuria versus Islam Makhachev. These are competitors who bring genuine animosity and an undeniable hunger to every fight, the type of compelling battles that force everyone in the arena to the edge of their seats, mesmerized by every exchange. For the Guru, it's not just about displaying incredible technique, it's about that very real possibility of absolute mayhem breaking loose at any moment, and he can't stop smiling thinking about all the incredible scenarios. These are exactly the kinds of explosive confrontations that have the power to define an entire evening, guaranteeing people will still be discussing them long after the octagon lights dim and everyone heads home.
So Henry, here's the potentials. Alex Pereira, John Jones, White House. Or Dana says, all right, John Jones, Tom Aspinall, White House. Or Dana says, John Jones, Francis Ngannou, White House. Conor McGregor, Michael Chandler, White House. What's the biggest fight out of these 4 fights here?
I'd probably say Tom and Jones.
Over Francis and Jones?
Yes. Why? Because it's the 250th birthday of our country, England versus USA.
Islam Makhachev is making his desires perfectly clear right now. He wants that White House moment and he wants it as soon as possible. For the current lightweight champion, this isn't just another defense to add to his growing resume. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, his shot at carving his name into history on a platform that literally comes around once ever, and he's radiating complete confidence. His preparation is laser focused, and he's obviously starving for this challenge. But like always, the million-dollar question creates this incredible tension that you can almost feel. Who exactly is going to step up and meet him in this historic showdown? With his opposition still completely unknown, the speculation is reaching fever pitch, leaving fans to wildly debate every possible explosive encounter. One thing though is absolutely guaranteed: when Islam Makhachev finally enters that octagon for the White House card, it's not going to be just another fight, it's going to be a powerful, undeniable message to everyone watching.
Bonnie.
Islam and Armin could be good.
But I don't think there'd be too much bad blood between them. I'd want to see like a Topuria Makhachev on them.
John Nolnick brings a slightly different perspective to this White House card discussion that's worth considering. While he's definitely excited about the possibility of Conor McGregor returning to action, he's asking some important questions about several of the heavily speculated matchups, especially a potential clash with Michael Chandler. Sure, that fight would be entertaining and grab instant headlines, but Anik argues it wouldn't mean much for the competitive lightweight landscape and might even happen at some random catchweight, weakening its significance. For Anik, the real excitement comes from potential battles with fighters like Nate Diaz or a dangerous contender like Mauricio Ruffy, fights that would genuinely challenge McGregor's remaining abilities and bring legitimate, meaningful consequences inside the cage. Meanwhile, Luke Thomas is taking an even more bullish approach, confidently predicting that the White House UFC event could easily become the most viewed card in promotional history. He smartly recognizes that the unprecedented venue and star-studded matchups already make it special, but he thinks the real game changer is the brilliant broadcast strategy. With CBS and Paramount Plus both showing the card simultaneously, fans won't hit any expensive paywalls, meaning this event could reach audiences way beyond the typical hardcore UFC fan base. Thomas views this as a rare, almost magical convergence where perfect timing, an incredible platform, and guaranteed entertainment all come together, creating ideal conditions for absolutely massive viewership. If everything falls into place perfectly, he's convinced this could transcend being just a fight card and become a legitimate cultural phenomenon that people discuss passionately for years, maybe even decades ahead.
If somebody wants, let's do it. I tell them I will be ready soon. If White House, of course I want to be in White House because there may be one and only we will make the fighting in White House. I want to be in history. Now I'm already make good money, which one I enough for my family, you know. And now I have everything before it's also not coming in my dream, you know. Now I just ready, you know. I training every day, still hungry, still fighting, still want to be champion.
Thomas continues his breakdown, pointing out that while dedicated fight fans will watch regardless of the matchups, attracting those vital casual viewers requires incredibly smart, calculated fight selection. He emphasizes that you absolutely cannot load the card with a bunch of nobody fighters and expect to hit record-breaking audience numbers. The actual fights, beyond all the pageantry, must feel important and carry real consequences. Factor in the incredible prestige of the White House location, the pure spectacle of the whole production, and even those wild card elements like potential weather issues, and you start to see the massive possibilities. He's completely convinced that with exactly the right combination of meaningful fights and these unique circumstances, this event has the potential to not just succeed wildly, but to create a truly historic, game-changing moment in UFC history. For Luke Thomas, it's that powerful blend of compelling, significant matchups combined with this absolutely unprecedented stage that could transform this from just another fight night into a deeply important cultural event that impacts far beyond the fighting world.
Interesting, Dana White said this week that he thinks the UFC White House event will be the most watched event. And on the surface of it, that seems like a plausible claim. I mean, just sort of, again, given the unusualness of it, could it be that case? Plus, if they're going to be simulcasting on linear television through CBS as well as Paramount Plus, so now you're not behind any kind of a paywall, that certainly could make an enormous difference. I think it is absolutely on.
Alright, so the news is officially spreading everywhere. Conor McGregor is confirmed for the White House card, and now the massive question that's taking over every conversation, dominating every podcast and social media debate is who exactly will he be fighting? The speculation is absolutely crazy right now. Fighter names are getting thrown around faster than anyone can keep track, and while a possible Michael Chandler fight definitely creates buzz for the pure entertainment value it would bring, tons of fans are desperately hoping for an opponent that would genuinely push Conor's legendary abilities to their limits. We're talking about legends like Nate Diaz, or maybe a rising threat like Mauricio Ruffy. Could it be a completely unexpected choice that catches everyone off guard? A massive stakes battle that not even the analysts are predicting. Time will eventually reveal everything, but one thing is absolutely certain beyond any doubt: that Octagon is about to explode with energy like we've never experienced before. So here's where you come in. Share your wildest predictions in the comments right now and tell us exactly who you think is going to step up and face the one and only Notorious One.
It will just come down to a couple of factors. Number one, for fight fans, I mean, fight fans aren't going to skip it. Fight fans won't even skip, the average, or the hardcore fight fans, I should say, won't even skip, an event at the Apex. But to get the casual fan, I do think that some level of matchmaking will matter here, some level of it, right? I mean, they couldn't just put nobodies on that card and then have it there and it would be the biggest event in UFC history. I don't think that's quite right. However, with the right kind of matchmaking and, good luck with the weather and all that kind of stuff, I think it could go